I felt really alone. I felt very scared.
A circle of trust linking a group of women chained to a painful past.
Walking on a tightrope, like a high wire, in high heels in a windstorm. That's what every minute felt like.
But every passing minute is teaching these women inside the Genesee County Jail how to unlock the shame barring them from seeing a way out.
I went through a really dark time when I was locked up and when I had no hope. And part of it was I had no vision for what life was going to look like.
Lara Love Hardin suffered from destructive side effects of an opioid addiction more than a decade ago, growing inside the suburban California mom like a cancerous tumor, manipulating her to lie, steal, and commit crimes to satisfy the drug's controlling appetite.
And it's been 16 years and it's still emotional.
Hard to believe for a New York Times best-selling author known as Mama Love. She's had intimate conversations with Oprah and was invited to India to meet the Dalai Lama. But Hardin's still haunted by the torture of not seeing her 4 young boys while spending a year in jail after she pled guilty to 32 felony charges. That emotional scar is why she's trying to reach the 162,000 women in jails and prisons across the country, because 80% of them, like her, are mothers with young children.
Came to my house, arrested me, and CPS took away my son, who was almost 4 at the time. I had 4 boys.
I've never heard a judge address a male defendant and say, "Where are your children? Who's taking care of them?" But women are asked that all the time.
Cynthia Chase says women are part of a growing demographic imprisoned by an inequitable system of incarceration in America.
I've appeared in a lot of courtrooms, with a lot of different judges.
Chase was once a former probation officer and teamed up with Hardin to throw a lifeline to these women, restoring hope, opportunity, and a sense of community. They call it the Gemma Project.
So women are held to this other standard, right? So it's not just the crime that you're there for, but it's also the stigma and the obligation of being a mother, and how dare you.
The Gemma Project starts in jail, implementing evidence-based practices to meet the needs of women and reduce recidivism. Current programs and initiatives are designed for men because only 10% of a jail's population are women.
A lot of the women in our facility are single moms. When they get out of here, they don't have to just worry about taking care of themselves. They have to worry about taking care of their families and rebuilding any kind of structure that was out there.
Captain Jillian Macy has always had to think outside the box to make sure the female perspective is heard in a male-dominated environment. She's been working inside the jail for 16 years and was the first woman to be named a jail administrator.
I will say Sheriff Swanson's very open-minded when it comes to making sure we're inclusive and giving all people inside the jail opportunities. But it's definitely difficult because my perspective as a female in this world is different.
I've got great female leadership here, but if I can have somebody come from another outside view and say, "You're doing great, but think about making these few changes to be even better."
Sheriff Chris Swanson invited the Gemma Project to be special guests at a graduation for his jailhouse school initiative called Ignite, an acronym for inmate growth naturally and intentionally through education. A recent Harvard study concluded Swanson's program benefits the entire community by lowering crime and the number of people returning to jail.
They are here to not only work with our female population, but also to duplicate what they have learned, not only from California and Michigan, but all over the country. So would you give it up for Mama Love and Cynthia?
But this was no ordinary Ignite graduation.
The Honorable Governor, Gretchen Whitmer!
It was also a first for Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Sheriff Swanson's been, of course, I think a real leader in creating this program, and he's been the best hype man you could imagine because he's been telling me about it, and that's why I wanted to be here, to take it in myself.
The governor offered more than an observation. She delivered the keynote address.
This is what I think we are capable of doing here in Michigan, setting trends, showing people what we're made of.
A partnership with the prestigious Carnegie Hall also unveiled.
That they selected our women to partner with the Carnegie Hall Wild Music Institute.
The jailhouse music studio, created as part of Ignite's curriculum, was used by moms in the jail for the Lullaby Project.
You write down memories about your children, what you like most about them. We take those and we create songs. We start writing songs to our children.
Music to the ears of Jennifer Johnson. She works for Motherly Intercession, a nonprofit helping women succeed when they transition out of jail. She helped these moms record their deeply personal lullabies.
It's important to let your child know that although that you are incarcerated, you still can be a parent from within. And that you're thinking about them and you care about them, and this is something special just for you, from me.
To see, you know, people turning their experience, their training that they've gotten here into something as beautiful as a lullaby, I think was just really inspirational.
And as Hardin's heart was touched by everything happening in front of her, she couldn't resist looking back to a familiar group watching from the shadows behind her.
And I feel a kinship with those women up there, with the women up there watching it. That's why I kept looking at them and waving. Because when you're incarcerated as a woman, when you get out as a justice-involved woman, you are not seen. I'd love to think I can relate to Governor, Whitmer, and I can relate to those women.
Hardin's walked in their shoes, a reason why Sheriff Swanson asked if the Gemma Project would also meet with his female population in private, holding focus groups to understand their needs.
And it's like trying to figure out all that, and it's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
When I have somebody like, Cynthia and Mama Love come and focus on their needs, which are different than male inmate needs on a lot of levels, it just restores the hope and faith in them.
A lot of what we talked about today is taking a look at, what do the women say that they want and need?
If we can show in one place that that's possible and have the support of somebody like Sheriff Swanson, then it really can have the ripple effect across the country.
Every county has a sheriff and every county has a jail. What if they become that arc that people can go to? Think of all those families that are restored. Think of all those kids that are being encouraged and, brokenness that's been healed.
And hope is what Hardin says makes the biggest splash with the women on the inside, freeing them of a painful past by encouraging them to dream of the person they were always meant to be.
Hope is a radical, rebellious thing to do. It's the most rebellious thing they can do. And nobody can lock up your imagination or your vision or your potential. It's like impossible to lock up. There's no bars that can contain that.